Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Chatter That Matters. You might normally hear me as a standalone podcast. It's a show about positivity and possibility. Each week, I interview someone that's overcome circumstances, and when they do, they get to chase their dreams and change their world, and often ours for the better. And this year, I had a stellar lineup of guests, including Malcolm Gladwell, Olympians, Nobel Peace Prize winners, Oscar nominees, and so much more. I'm also a frequent commentator on this station, as well as in the mainstream and social media. What I focus on is identifying and commenting on the things that matter most to me, and I hope you. The stories and lessons we can learn from to help us get to where we need, want, and deserve to go. Today's show, I'm going to focus on four things. The first part, the brand stories that mattered in 2024. The ones that really captured our attention. Second segment, I'm going to identify the big branding blunders, the campaigns that sounded so good on the drawing board, but when they came alive, they either fizzled or worse, invited a massive backlash. Third segment, I'm going to talk about all things AI. If you've listened to me on the station over the years, you know that I think this is going to be the most disruptive technology that humanity's ever faced. You're either going to ride a wave and unleash possibilities like you've never imagined, or you're going to be hit so hard by that wave. And I'll talk to you about how you can future-proof your career. In my final segment, I'm going to talk to you about Canada. And in many ways, I feel like that fable of that frog just swimming so lovingly in that warm water, not realizing it's being turned up, and one day it's going to boil him to oblivion. What do we need to do as citizens to demand so much more from the people who govern us? So let's get into the first segment, the brands that matter. I have to say, the undisputed champion of consumer engagement this year, the Paris 2024 Olympics, grabbed the gold medal with a whopping 37% of global consumers recognizing it as the top brand story of the year. And this global spectacle transcended more than sporting events, became a masterclass in brand storytelling and audience connections. But it wasn't just about the budgets that could rival a small nation's GDP or the massive global reach. Why the Paris Olympics mattered and resonated because of the human stories at its heart.
I might just be like a random girl from Campbell River, but that didn't mean I couldn't do really incredible things.
I had the opportunity to interview Avalon Westonnaise, our gold medalist, just before she embarked on her Paris rowing adventure.
So we were just training on our own. So we really had to just create this sense of belief within the crew. We made this commitment to one another that we were going to redefine excellence. So we were going to perform no matter what. And performance didn't necessarily have to be a gold medal, but we had to walk away feeling like we had contributed to the sport of rowing and we had made it better in some way.
For the first time, athletes were empowered to share their authentic, unfiltered experiences directly with fans through their personal social media channels. It took us behind the curtain of the Olympic Village, the triumphs, the struggles, the camaraderie, and even their obsessions. Think back to that heartwarming story of Henrik Christensen, a Norwegian swimmer, who we dubbed the Muffin Man after his TikTok videos celebrating the simple joys of Olympic Village muffins garnered millions of views.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Or how about the unexpected rise of Ray Gun?
Give it up to Ray Gun!
The basketball squad, comprised of Olympians from different countries, united by their love for the game and their infectious enthusiasm. I mean, wasn't that what the Olympics should be about? These organic, unscripted moments, fueled by social media and genuine human connections, well, I think they proved that sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that unfold naturally. I want to now turn our attention to Big Pharma. I'm always cautious with stories of the impossible. Drink from the fountain of youth and your hair will grow back. You'll live 30 years longer. Overnight, you can transform who you are. Well, that was the promise of Ozempic, wasn't it?
I just asked.
I asked.
The weight loss drug, and it was adopted by celebrities and championed, reflecting society's complex relationship with aging and body image. I mean, I worked on the Dove brand for years, that these false beauty stereotypes that we chase, that we want to look like the celebrities on magazines or on the movies that have been so retouched. It creates such anxiety. I mean, you think about the eating disorders and you think about the psychological impact of saying, why can't I be like that person in social media?
Look, it really can help people who are overweight to require help in weight loss, and it may even reduce other risk factors like developing type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, but it needs to be done under the supervision of medical supervision.
And that's what Ozempic promised.
There are potential risks to your pancreas, your kidneys, your gallbladder, and these are all things that need to be discussed with your patient rather than just ordering it online.
And it really went on this deep-seated desire to defy time, conform to societal expectations, and achieve this often elusive ideal of health and beauty. But its high cost raises questions of accessibility and privilege, the disparities in our healthcare system, and time will tell if it is in fact too good to be true, that by simply taking a simple pill, you can melt away the pounds without any negative repercussions to your health.
What happened when you stopped taking Ozempic?
For the first, I'd say, week and a half, you still had that numbness to food cravings. And then suddenly it was like your body woke up and discovered, hey, I like bread.
And of course, no discussion of brand stories would be complete without acknowledging the empress of cultural influence, Taylor Swift. Her whirlwind romance with football star Travis Kelce captivated the world, securing their place as the top pop culture moment of the year, according to 43% of consumers.
I've just never been as happy as I am now. So I'm pretty protective of that. I want to keep this happiness going as long as I possibly can.
That's my girl.
That's your girl.
You know what I mean? That's my lady. So it's like, I'm proud of that. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm not sitting here trying to juggle, like, how can I keep this under wrap?
This power couple blended music, sports, and undeniable charisma, dominated headlines and social media feeds. Her massive fan base, I think the camera spent more time on Taylor Swift in the audience versus the players on the field.
Taylor Swift is going to the Super Bowl.
This will be a Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 58, Taylor's version.
Some people are already calling it the Swiftie Bowl.
The Super Bowl will be the 13th game Taylor Swift attends, which is her lucky number.
Never underestimate the power of captivating love, especially when Taylor Swift is involved. And then the Eras Tour.
You're going to just do a show with all the albums in it. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be called the Eras Tour.
Our Prime Minister tweeting to beg her to come to Canada. And then RBC steps in to make Canada the final leg of her tour. They give away tickets to the Boys and Girls Club. It's no wonder why RBC won Canada's Brand of the Year for the 5th year in a row, because a big part of that reason was making Taylor Swift happen. But before we crown Taylor and Travis the undisputed rulers of 2024, we can't ignore the voices of Gen Z, a generation that often defines trends and shapes the future of consumption. Now, while Swift and Kelce resonated across demographics, Gen Z had a different favorite: the rap feud between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. This battle, fueled by diss tracks, online sparring, showcases the influence of digital platforms and a unique way in which different generations engage with culture. Brands take note. Understanding the nuances of generational preferences is crucial for crafting stories that truly matter. So as we bid farewell to 2024, what are the key lessons learned for brands, and would argue for all of us, as we are all in fact brands? Embrace authenticity. Consumers crave genuine connections, not contrived narratives. User-generated content is king. The most memorable moments of 2024 often emerge organically from real people sharing their passions and experiences. Always remember that your story matters, and brands should actively seek out and amplify user-generated content, embracing the power of influencers and authentic voices. And finally, know your audiences inside and out. Generational preferences matter. The controversial appeal of Taylor and Travis versus the Kendrick-Drake feud highlights the importance of really understanding the nuances of your target audience's values, their media consumption habits, and cultural touchstones. Don't be afraid to experiment, don't sacrifice clarity, and focus on stories of positivity and possibility. So let's dive into the brands that fumbled in 2024. It's fascinating how quickly things can change in the ever-evolving world of marketing. One minute you're riding high and the next you're facing a wave of criticism, boycotts, and plummeting sales. Analyzing these failures is how we learn. So let's look at some of the most notable marketing flops of 2024 and unpack the key lessons they offer. One that really caught my attention and fired so many social media slingshots at the brand was the campaign So Many Dicks for ELF Beauty, a bold attempt to advocate for boardroom diversity.
We actually decided to craft one that was going to be attracting, was newsworthy, and was actually going to be able to create impact and inspire others by talking about and highlighting the fact that men with the name Richard, Rick, or Dick actually outnumber the number of groups of underrepresented people.
Why their heart was in the right place, this edgy execution. So Many Dicks, and plastering this phase around New York's financial district, it drew mixed reactions, demonstrating the tightrope brands must walk when they tackle sensitive societal issues. Next is Bumble. Bumble's a dating app known for empowering women, but they stumbled with a billboard campaign in Los Angeles.
You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer.
Now, it was meant to be cheeky and attention-grabbing, and it was, but it landed with a thud. Users on TikTok slammed Bumble.
Their new marketing strategy has been to attack women who are not jumping into bed with men.
They went from women make the first move to, yeah, let's attack women for wanting to be celibate and not be with men in general.
Accusing Bumble of undermining personal autonomy and reinforcing tired relationship stereotypes.
Because how would society possibly go on without casual sex and hooking up with a different person every other week just for fun?
Instead of Bumble creating buzz, they got stung with backlash. Well, what went wrong? For starters, humor's subjective, but respect is not. Bumble's message failed to consider the diverse values and experiences of its audience. While some might find it funny, others might find it offensive. The ad also ignored the ongoing conversation about women's rights and autonomy, their right to choose, making it feel especially tone-deaf. And to make matters worse, Bumble was so slow to respond to the criticism, initially remaining silent and then offering a response that lacked a direct apology and empathy. So what can we learn? The Bumble blunder underscores the importance of context in marketing, and it underscores the importance of context in what you talk about. A message that might work in one setting could backfire in another. Brands need to be mindful of the social and cultural landscape when crafting their messages, especially when dealing with sensitive topics. To me, empathy is key. Bumble could have avoided this misstep by testing its messaging with diverse audiences before launching the campaign. And finally, when you step across the line, you gotta lead with a sincere response. Silence only fuels the fire, while a genuine apology can help put down those flames.
They actually haven't said how many customers may have been affected by this. Could it be thousands? Could it have been millions? We just don't know.
Ticketmaster was another one that was no stranger to criticism, but this year, what a PR nightmare when the data breach exposed the personal information of 560 million users. And to add insult to injury, they remained silent, failing to master a public apology or address the breach, leaving their customers feeling vulnerable and ignored.
There's two things. The cyber bad guys will probably try to use that information themselves. More likely, though, they will be sold online and forums on the dark web.
So where do they go wrong? Listen, we're in an era of cyber attacks, and we need to do everything we can as a consumer to build a moat around our privacy. Their silence was a massive mistake. It demonstrated a complete lack of transparency and a disregard for our concerns. Failing to promptly address the breach, they missed a vital opportunity to mitigate reputational damage. What's the takeaway? We're all going to make mistakes. The key is when you're dealing with sensitive information, clear and prompt communication is essential. Acknowledge the issues, outline the steps you're taking to address it, and express empathy for those affected. Failing to do so can severely damage your brand's reputation, put you in the penalty box, and sometimes without a key to get out of it. Now let's talk about a brand that tried to reinvent itself. Failing sales, they needed to do something, and that brand was Jaguar.
Controversy has always surrounded British creativity when it's been at its best.
What I can't understand is they had one of the most iconic logos in the history of branding, that jaguar leaping. And if you've studied the jaguar as an animal, it's the only one in the animal kingdom that if it's being hunted will turn around and hunt you. It has all the swagger and prowess you want with a sports car. And if I think of a color, and brands that own a color are brands that have an asset that you treasure. And to me, British Racing Green was the Jaguar. But instead, they abandoned their logo, abandoned their color, abandoned the fact that they're even a racing car, the retro notes of a Jaguar, the chrome and the spoke wheels. All of that was thrown away in this wild attempt to connect with a whole new generation.
David Bowie, Vivienne Westwood were some of my creative heroes. They were British trailblazers. In the same way, when Jaguar was at its best, it threw away the car design rulebook.
And their new ads showed a whole line of electric vehicles that might be extraordinary by design, but by the time they arrived, most of the universe were questioning whoever was in charge at Jaguar and how did they let that roar turn into a whimper. So what do we learn here? Rebranding can be a powerful tool, and there's going to be times when you need to rebrand your career, but it's essential to understand your core values and understand how they resonate with your audience. Sure, Jaguar tried to appeal to a younger, more progressive audience, but in doing so, they alienated their traditional customer base. They played different notes than the notes I hear when I think of Jaguar. It failed to capture the essence of luxury, craftsmanship, heritage, exclusivity, and a reminder of the good old days. And finally, in terms of brand flops, I want to turn my attention to the 2024 US presidential election and the campaign of Kamala Harris and her bid to become the first female president of the United States.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? We choose freedom.
And how it ended in defeat, leaving many to wonder what went wrong.
Thank you very much. Wow.
Christopher Hall, a Democratic consultant and strategist, offered some insightful observations. He points to a disconnect between the Democratic Party and the working class, particularly in the communities of color. Hale argues that the Democrats' focus on what he terms woke policies, particularly around transgender issues, alienated a significant part of their traditional base. Here's where I think they went wrong. I think there's an awful lot of people in our society that are worried about whether they can put a meal on their kids' table. Can they keep a roof over their head? How secure is their job? What is the future that they're working so hard for? And the Democrats talking about big, meaty, important issues like climate change and rights certainly resonated, but they didn't matter to the person that was worried about their kids going hungry. And to me, that's where the Republicans really focused on. The situation you're in is because of the government that's in play. We're going to find a way to reclaim the America where the dreams that you had could be chased. Whether that's going to happen or not, time will tell. But their message certainly resonated with the people that mattered most. And if you look at the map of the United States and where the Republicans triumphed, that's also where Americans are struggling. So what's the lessons for you? It's essential to understand the values and concerns of the people that matter most to you. You're going after a job, you need to understand what those people value. Where are they heading in life? What quest are they on as a company? What can you offer to help them get to where they need, want, and deserve to go? People can spot a disingenuous message or a message that's out of touch of what really matters to me. So find a way to engage, to find a way to be more granular with your message and lead with matters of the heart. Adapt your strategies and always strive to connect with your audience in a meaningful and authentic way. Up next, we'll be diving into the exciting world of AI and whether that wave is one you're going to ride or one that's going to hit you with such force you might feel like you're drowning. Hi, it's Tony Chapman. Thank you for tuning into this special edition of Chatter That Matters, presented by RBC. Chatter That Matters is a podcast about positivity and possibility. Each week, I share a story of someone who's overcome extraordinary circumstances to chase their dreams. And when they do, they not only change their world, but often ours for the better. And thanks to incredible people like you, Chatter That Matters is now ranked in the top 1% most popular podcasts worldwide. And through your support, subscriptions, rating, and reviews, we keep finding new audiences. So I hope you join me every Thursday morning for a fresh episode packed with stories that matter. It's Tony Chapman. Let's chat soon.
That's weird, right? That I'm bonding with an OS. No, it's okay. It's weird.
Well, I don't think so. Actually, the woman that I've been seeing, Samantha, I didn't tell you, but she's an OS. I feel really close to her. Like when I talk to her, I feel like she's with me.
Are you falling in love with her?
Welcome back to this special edition of Chatter That Matters. We started the show by exploring the year's biggest brand success stories. I just did a great segment on brand flops and their underlying causes. Now it's time to ride the wave of AI.
Artificial intelligence has become so advanced, it has now surpassed human performance on several basic tasks. Is that faster than we expected? And what does it tell us about the speed of AI going forward?
It certainly is faster than we expected.
The rapid development of artificial intelligence into the mainstream dominated so many headlines. More than half of workers are now using generative AI on the job.
There has been plenty of excitement and concern about how the coming revolution in artificial intelligence could upend parts of our lives. But one giant benefit could be changes in medical care.
AI is here to stay, and it's creating all kinds of sea changes in different industries across the globe.
For those who've been tuning in for years, you know that I've talked about AI as a force that's going to reshape our world. I've had counter arguments where people say it's going to create more jobs than it's going to take away. And I continue to disagree. And now I'm talking to you from context because I've launched an AI agency called Chatter AI. Because you're going to have to make a decision. You're either going to ride the wave of AI to possibilities, or you're going to be hit with it so hard that I'm not sure you're going to recover. I know that's a very dystopian message, but let's stay with me. What is AI? AI, or artificial intelligence, is a simulation of human intelligence in machines. They're programmed to think and learn like humans, and increasingly to feel like us. They develop algorithms and computer programs capable of performing tasks that typically require human intervention and human intelligence.
She snaps a picture from the Google app of this smart toaster oven and up-come reviews and online price comparisons. Here we see the price in-store is the same as it is online at other retailers.
What's so interesting about this is it blends the in-store brick and mortar experience with the online experience. It really does feel like a hybrid.
Exactly. Yeah. Doing the best of it.
And the most extraordinary thing about AI is they're getting faster and better and learning from each other. And there's not a human listening that won't be impacted by AI. And many of you are going to compete for your jobs against AI. Knowing that AI never takes a holiday, works 24/7, 365 days a year. So AI began in 1956 with John McCarthy defining it as the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. Early AI focused on logic-based tasks, demonstrated by Shaky, the robot pushing boxes in 1969. Of course, Deep Blue defeating the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in 1997.
Now he has accepted the role, and a magnificent display by Deep Blue.
Sometimes computer plays very human moves. We have to praise machine for understanding very, very deeply positional factors. I think it's outstanding scientific achievement.
One of the key figures in AI's evolution is Geoffrey Hinton. He's a Canadian scientist, often referred to as the godfather of AI. He just won the Nobel Peace Prize in physics for his work. His work on artificial neural networks laid the ground for what we're seeing today. There's really four main types of AI. There's reactive AI. This basic form of AI lacks memory and operates solely on stimulus response. It's ideal for specialized tasks. Then you have limited memory, which captures and utilizes past data to inform future actions. So it's like a knapsack of learning that creates a compass to decide where to go next. Theory of the mind AI, still in development, aims to understand and respond to human emotions, bringing the gap between humans and machines closer. Self-aware AI is the most advanced and hypothetical form. It would possess consciousness, and with that, numerous ethical and existential questions.
Scientists say artificial intelligence is streamlining medicine. AI is already being used to diagnose rare illnesses, develop new prescription drugs, and find alternate treatment options.
You think of adoption. Over 100 million people started using ChatGPT in just 2 months. So it's a good part of AI. It optimizes processes across industries from cybersecurity and finance to healthcare and manufacturing. Enhances productivity, provides inaccessible information leading to smarter decision making. It can help address important global challenges like climate change. It's going to have a profound impact on our healthcare system. But it raises some concerns about biases, discrimination, and privacy. Lots of artists are up in arms because they feel AI has taken their intellectual property.
You know, I think it's going to change dramatically. The way that we film movies are going to change dramatically. And I think stunts are going to change dramatically. And, you know, animation is going to change. AI is going to change everything.
And the ugly is how many jobs are going to be lost. And I know there's pundits that say, yeah, but it'll create many more. Technology's always done that. But, you know, it has the potential, some people to say, to take 300 million jobs out in the next decade. Even Hinton has become increasingly vocal about its potential dangers. The bad actors that are using it, the existential threat to humanity, its use in weaponry. Even in his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, he stressed the urgency of addressing AI's short-term and long-term risks.
I think we're at a kind of bifurcation point in history where in the next few years, we need to figure out if there's a way to deal with that threat. So I think it's very important right now for people to be working on the issue of how would we keep control. We need to put a lot of research effort into it. I think one thing governments can do is force the big companies to spend a lot more of their resources on safety research.
Urgent and forceful attention to these issues, particularly the threat surpassing human intelligence. He also criticized technology companies driven by short-term profits, arguing that the pursuit of financial gain might overshadow crucial safety considerations.
We have a situation where there's something that is going to be far smarter than the smartest human. We're not stronger or faster than other creatures, but we are more intelligent. And here we are for the first time, really in human history, with something that's going to be far more intelligent than us. It's not clear to me we can actually control such a thing, but I think we can aspire to guide it in a direction that's beneficial to humanity.
So what do we need to do? Well, I'm doing at Chatter AI is I'm using AI to help my clients future-proof their marketing department. I'm using AI to go dive deep into understanding who their consumer is, what the intent of their competitors are, what kind of topics that their audiences are interested in, and then calibrating their marketing based on the needs of their audience versus self-proclamations like, we're the world's fastest network. If I was you, what I would be doing is immediately stopping searching Google, spending time with mindless scrolling, get ChatGPT and start playing with it, or Perplexity, and ask it questions and start topics that you like. You might be a landscaper, a florist. You might be interested in quantum physics. You might be a recreational sports gambler. No matter what you're interested in, start applying AI and seeing how it changes how you think, feel, and act. Experiment with Google LM. Perplexity is this extraordinary answer engine where you ask it a question, instead of searching and offering you 15,000 sites, it responds with what they believe is the answer and then gives you other questions to ask it. Spend some time with AI and learn it. And then in terms of young people, what you really need to do is to understand that many of the instruments in the orchestra that you might have set out to play will be done by AI. What you need to do is become the conductor of the orchestra. You need to understand creativity, critical thinking, prompt engineering. You need to know how to get the most out of AI so that you can apply it to getting the most out of your career.
Focusing on AI's future existential risks is a distraction from its current very tangible impacts and the work we should be doing right now for reducing these impacts. Yes, AI is moving quickly, but it's not a done deal. We're building the road as we walk it, and we can collectively decide what direction we want to go in together.
The final thing I want to talk to you about is Canada. I really believe we're like that frog swimming in this lovely warm water, not realizing that the temperature's being turned up. And before long, it's going to get to the boiling point. And that's how I see this country. We have this extraordinary country called Canada, the second biggest landmass in the world, with only 40 million people. 1/5 of the fresh waters in our Great Lakes alone. We have natural resources, farmable land, rare minerals. We have intellectual capital, a highly educated group of people, and a diverse population to learn from. We share a border, language, and freedom and values with the largest economy in the world, the United States of America. We have so much going for us.
I feel like overall, we're a pretty respected country, I would think. A lot of people like Canadians. They think we're very friendly. I know it's easy to travel anywhere as a Canadian. People really like Canadians around, so.
My family are immigrants. Canada is viewed more like the peacemakers. Canada is more of like you can express your religion and all these things.
I'll be graduating in the next year or so. And so I think finding a job, it's very, very undetermined.
I'm hoping that things will stabilize, but it's hard to predict right now.
Being a student, living at home, rent-free, I do have a job. I'm hopeful that I will be one day able to own or rent.
But I wonder, what has happened? How can we be pouring so much debt on the next generations? They're no longer just knee-deep in debt. It's at their thighs and quickly approaching their neck. They're going to be drowning in debt. $80 billion a year is going to go to servicing our interest payments before a dollar can go to healthcare or education or creating a new economy. We're taxing the entrepreneurs to a point where they're leaving because they operate in the cloud. They're not tethered to Canada. They'll go wherever they can find the greatest advantage to bring their dreams to life. We have so much money going to working our government versus working for us. And when I look at this $1.4 trillion of federal debt, where's this money gone? I don't see massive new infrastructure. I don't see a buoyant new economy. I see ourselves bribing for ballots and every election boring more and more money. And I don't think by just voting someone out and voting someone else in, it's going to change things. The only way we're going to change as a country is by understanding that it's on the voters' shoulders. We got to stop voting for immediate gratification. What's in it for me in this election? And start voting for a better Canada.
Being able to vote means an opportunity to decide the future. And I really feel that both the future state of our economy and climate change are very important to the future of our country. I feel it's a great opportunity for me to have my voice heard on those topics.
We got to start demanding transparency and accountability. There's no sitting government should be allowed to sit on documents if we feel they've abused the faith we've given in them by electing them. The first thing we need to do is we need to raise the voter literacy of this country.
Growing up, my parents were very open about the importance of voting and having my own political view. So casting my vote for the first time, I felt very proud and powerful that I was finally able to have my voice heard.
The only way we can be informed is if we understand the math. Every promise comes with a price tag. You know, it's great to say you can have free Medicare, free dental care. God, I would love free dog walking and a free car wash. But who's going to pay for this? Is it right to put all of this on future generations? Or the billions of dollars that seem to have gone missing or lacks accountability? We need every politician to treasure our tax dollars and our borrowed dollars as precious and finite versus infinite. And it's got to come to voter literacy. We need to inform everybody that if our country's going to prosper, if we're going to succeed like other nations that are rich in resources, that chase dreams, it's going to require all of us to be shoulder to shoulder. We got to take out so much of the working dollars going into government. We have government at municipal level, provincial level, and federal level. It's so bureaucratic. We're way down in bureaucracy and rules and red tape. We have better free trade with dozens of countries around the world than we have within our own borders, with our provinces putting up their own moats and fences. We're going into discussions with the United States. We got to lead with a position of strength. We got to be shoulder to shoulder. We got to include the interests of all of Canada, not some ideology.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a speech yesterday, promised to retaliate if the U.S. imposes tariffs on goods from Canada. Trudeau said people in America were, quote, beginning to wake up to the reality that tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive, close quote. Now, early this morning, Mr. Trump responded in a pointed Truth Social post saying it was a pleasure to have dinner the other night with Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada.
And then the final thing I want to talk about is our education. Are we preparing our children for their future, where they're going to compete for jobs with people in the cloud and with the machines that work 24/7? School shouldn't be about ideology. School shouldn't be about pontificating on past mistakes. It should be about a future, about celebrating our diversity, celebrating what we can do as Canada going forward. It should be having Canadian kids come out with critical thinking and being collaborative and creative and enterprising and entrepreneurial. Capitalism and entrepreneurs shouldn't be thought of as scorched earth, but thinking about what we can do with integrity and sustainability and ethics to build an economy that has purposeful jobs.
And I think a lot of people, they'll feel a lot of pressure from multiple different sides, whether it's parents, friends, online, to vote for a specific candidate. But you really have to look at the information presented to you and believe in yourself that you're making the right decision. And that's super empowering, I think, for a lot of young people to really take control of their own future when they're casting that ballot.
So that's my final message to you this year. Raise the financial literacy of this country so we can raise the voter literacy. Stop thinking democracy is voting someone out, but voting in, demanding that our politicians that are elected stick to the playbook of what they were elected, their campaign for. And if we feel they're offside, we've got to pass laws that they're not allowed to sit on information that's material to decide were they for the people and by the people, or were they for their partisan interests. It's Tony Chapman. I hope you follow me in Chatter That Matters. Here's to 2024 that passed, a tough year, but a year that we can learn from. And here's to a better 2025.